Tayyip Erdogan. The meeting is intended to end a period of tension, and here we're going live to Vladimir Putin. We've just finished the main part of our negotiations with President Erdogan. It's clear that this meeting is very important for the future of Russian-Turkish relations. We had a very constructive and concrete discussion on the subject of our bilateral relations and the international agenda as well. There have been difficult and even dramatic periods in the history of our bilateral relationship, but the mutual respect always came out on top. First of all, I would like to point out that despite the difficult internal political situation in Turkey, President Erdogan was able to come to Russia, to St. Petersburg, to meet with us. And this shows the interest that our Turkish partners have in rebuilding and restoring the bilateral Russian-Turkish relations. We had meetings in the presence of many senior officials and business leaders, and we outlined the roadmap for restoring our relations, especially economic relations. As a priority, I would say that we, at the very least, need to come back to the level of mutual trade and mutual economic relations as they were before the breakdown of our relations. I have to remind you that in the last year we lost something like 26% of mutual trade. So there is a very difficult and painstaking process ahead of us in order to get us back to the high level of trade relations and collaboration that we once enjoyed. The ministers from the economic part of the Turkish government will visit Moscow soon to discuss the restoration of relations with their Russian counterparts. And it's very important that not only the political leadership of the country, but of Russia and, of course, Turkey want to restore this good relationship. It's also important that the business leaders and economic leaders of our nations support this process, this restoration process. So we're now working on a roadmap for our mutual relationship going forward, economically, culturally, politically, over the next 3 years, taking us up to 2019. This coming autumn, we will have a meeting, a joint meeting, an intergovernmental meeting, which will outline the priorities in the development and restoration of trade between Turkey and Russia. One of the key elements of our economic relationship is, of course, energy. We discussed several potential projects in detail, which may require political decisions. If we could decide to take those projects forward. One of those projects is, of course, the construction of a nuclear power plant by Russian contractors in Turkey, and the construction of a Turkish pipeline. We also discussed the restoration of the tourism industry, which is mutually beneficial also. Turkey has always been one of the most popular destinations for Russian tourists, and we at least want to restore the number of Russian tourists visiting Turkey. Russians also visiting Turkey, but Turkish people visiting Russia also. We discussed the restoration of charter flights from Russia to Turkey, and we discussed permission, the process from which permission for construction work can be reinstated. One of the first bans following the breakdown of relations was the ban of Turkish construction permits in Russia. We discussed the international issues also. We agreed that after the press conference we will have a separate meeting to discuss the Syrian issue, the problem of the conflict there. We have a joint understanding that fighting terrorism is one of the key elements of our mutual work together. And to conclude, I would like to thank my Turkish counterpart, President Erdogan, for these discussions. I am totally convinced that we have everything we need in place to restore the mutually beneficial relationship, and I want to assure my counterpart that Russia is fully prepared for all the work ahead of us. Thank you very much. So that was Russian President Vladimir Putin. And now we'll go to President Erdogan. Dear friends, dear ministers, and members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, hello. I extend you my warmest salutations. I would like to thank Mr. Putin for this invitation. Today, we have had a very, very fruitful meeting, and as you know, there had been an interruption in our relations, and this is our first face-to-face meeting since that. And it's also my first visit since the attempted coup in Turkey. So my first visit was here in Russia, because we would like to restore the relationship, to move back to the relationship we had before. We believe our peoples expect that from us. After these meetings that we had today, touching upon economic, social and demographic topics, we want to take our relations to another level, to a higher level. In this regard, charter flights will be restored. The agricultural clauses and policies involving workers are other topics that we covered during these meetings. Here it is very important that the strategic investment towards the nuclear power station and there will also be a Russian and Turkish fund, and we will be enhancing our cooperation with regards to defense. Russia, Turkey and Azerbaijan will meet together. As well as this, the Akkuyu power station we will hope to make progress on that, but also on a range of other topics.
Dostluk ve güven noktasında şu hususu ifade etmeden geçemeyeceğim. Malumunuz
We want to have a relationship based on honesty, friendship, and trust.
en alçak, en kanlı
July 15th,
birini yaşadı. Fethullahçı
we must remember that Turkey suffered one of the most
seçilmiş cumhurbaşkanı
bloody
ve demokrasi
attempted coups.
bir darbe teşebbüsünde bulundu. Tabii bütün bunlara rağmen bizler çalışmalarımıza
The elected president was attacked
dayanışma halinde
in this attempted coup, and despite this,
Türk akımı projesi
we continue our work in solidarity with our friends.
bu girişim çağrımız üzerine özellikle
On the other hand, the Turkish pipeline project will be relaunched very shortly.
Avrupa'ya geçmesi noktasındaki adımları da
We will carry out meetings on this project
halinde
so that this pipeline also goes through Europe,
özellikle bu darbe girişiminin ertesi günü
and the ministers involved will also meet regarding this. After the attempted coup,
psikolojik noktasında
President Putin called us right away,
değerli dostum
and psychologically that was very important to us, my dear friend.
sadece ikili planda önem taşımıyor.
Dear journalists,
Zamanda
the relationship between Turkey and Russia is not secondary, it's very important. It's very important for the region, it's very important for the future,
biraz sonra
and for the
çok dar kapsamlı
stability of the region.
bir görüşmemiz olacak. Bu ikili görüşmemizde de bunları ele alıp
We will later have a bilateral meeting with Mr. Putin,
Rusya ilişkileri
in which we will also discuss all these subjects further.
ortak irade
Relationships between Turkey and Russia,
ile örnek bir seviyeye ulaştı. Bizler bu noktaya tesadüfen
thanks to our will
ortak bir vizyon ve muazzam işbirliği potansiyelimiz sayesinde
should be exemplary.
Sayın Putin'le birlikte
We have not come here by accident. We are here because of cooperation and because of determination. My dear friend, Mr. Putin, will strengthen relations both militarily,
sahip olduğumuz
socially and economically, and we will work very, very hard on this topic. The potential we have for
biz Türkiye
the future well-being of our region
geçmişe göre çok daha güçlendiğini,
will be crucial because
çok daha
the region deserves it.
düşünüyorum.
Our relations will be stronger than in the past,
Özellikle sözlerime son verirken değerli dostum
and will be strong enough to overcome the problems that may arise.
şahsım heyetim adına teşekkür ediyorum.
I would like to thank my friend for his welcome, for his invitation,
Saygıyla, sevgiyle selamlıyorum. Спасибо.
and I extend my salutations to you and to your people.